Hi there, welcome back to the VMO YouTube channel. This is Jansen. So today I'm down on the Somerset coast and I'm taking a look at the Rovex 12-foot Mackerel Hunter combo. This is £29.99. Yeah, I say that again, £29.99, less than 30 quid. You know, that's less than half a tank of fuel in your car for a fishing rod and a fishing reel, complete with line. Now, all I've done with this one is put a shock leader on the end, tapered shock leader. The line that comes on the reel is probably about 20–25 pound breaking strain. It's quite hefty stuff, but nonetheless, I reckon this is going to get me fishing. The mission today is to try and catch something on this combo, just to prove to you that you don't have to spend an absolute fortune on a fishing rod to catch fish. Let's go and do this. Well, the place is absolutely alive with fish this morning. I don't know if you can see all of these mullet in the edge down here. Lots of mullet, probably a few bass in there as well. My rig I'm about to cast out, it's a simple pulley rig with a dongle and a bit of squid and a bit of bluey on there. I've got a 5-ounce lead. The Rovex Mackerel Hunter rod, it's rated between 3 and 6 ounces. So let's put a 5-ounce on there, see how it goes. I'm just going to give it a gentle lob out. It's a very soft rod, but there we go. Nothing wrong with that at all. And I think I'm going to be quite surprised what this rod is actually capable of. Well, so far so good. Yeah, that's holding bottom nicely. There we go. So it's a couple of hours after low water now, the tide's starting to flood up this bank. It is pretty muddy, but you kind of expect that this time of year. We've had small tides, very light winds, all the sediment drops out and just sits on top of the sand. Yeah, that's great. That's sat there nicely in the tide. Perfect. So invariably here you're waiting for a drop back style bite. You've cast your bait up tide. When a fish comes along, it obviously picks up the baited hooks, dislodges the lead and causes the line to go slack. And you can see in this rod at the moment I've got quite a nice curve there. It's going to be really evident if it does come up slack and a fish comes along. There's still loads of fish moving about in the edge down there. Really good to see. There's a guy fishing down there who I've known for about 25 years just from fishing on this mark, and I think he thought I was a little bit mad with my choice of tackle today, but as I say, I'm on a mission. I want to prove that these kind of rods and reels, they will catch you fish. You don't need to spend extortionate amounts of money on a fishing rod and reel. Obviously you can. It's a bit like buying a Porsche compared to buying a Mini Metro. They'll both do the job, but you know, let's see what goes on with this today. God, this weather really is quite something for September though. It's so humid. You can just feel the moisture in the air. Everything's heavy. So close. But it's not bad fishing weather. If anything, it's a little bit too still, but we've got a really good chance today of a ray or two, maybe a conger, maybe if we get lucky, a bass or even a smooth hound. But whatever we catch, like I say, the aim of the game is just to catch something on this rod and reel and prove to you that you don't need to spend a fortune. Well, the bait's been out there now for a good half an hour plus. I've just moved the tackle up as the tide's flooding in. Got a nice bit of a sea breeze picked up now. That's just taken the edge off of the temperature. Sort of brought the humidity down a little bit anyway. I did think we might have seen a bite by now, but then it is incredibly calm. A little bit of movement on the water now though, so we've got high tide in about 2.5 hours time. So did that tip lift up a little bit then? Or am I seeing things? I think we're certainly going to know about it if we get a fish on this rod. Anyway, it really does bend over. Yeah, it certainly bent over on the cast, and it was only a gentle lob. Now I'm happy to give that one a good sort of 45 minutes to an hour today. I can't see any issue with I can't see us having any issue with crabs or shrimps or anything like that down here. It was a reasonable sized bluey and squid bait. Pretty potent little bait really, so yeah, should be good for a while. That line looks quite slack at the moment. I'm just going to tighten it up and see what happens. I don't know if a fish picked up the bait or whether the tide's just eased off. It does do that here as the water comes up the bank. The main run is out there. You don't tend to have any issues holding bottom when you get to this stage of the tide. Just pop it back down. And we've got if you can see that, a bit of a bend in the rod at the moment. And what I'm looking for is to see if that tip, you know, gets unsettled again, if it lifts up or gives us any kind of indication that there's a fish on there. Well, that breeze really is nice though. It's getting a bit too warm. I can't believe it's September. I was all geared up for the autumn. Those cooler mornings, evenings starting to close in, and then bang, we're hit with a heat wave. It's really misty this morning though, but I think once the sun really gets up, it's gonna burn off, and it's gonna be quite a nice day again. Yeah, so that rod tip stayed bent over. I don't think it was a fish. Plenty of time yet though. Let's see what happens. That bait's been out for about 50 minutes now. So I'll give it another 10 minutes and wind it in and see what's going on. I'm pretty confident there'll still be bait on the rig. Tide's certainly pushing up now. I think before too long I'm going to have to shuffle back up through the mud again. When I say the mud, it's not too bad. It's just a very thin layer of mud on top of the sand today. It's quite comfortable to fish from, in all honesty. It's a little bit mucky, but we can get over that. Yeah, so that bait's been in the water now for 55 minutes. I did kind of think that we might have seen a bite by now, but I think I'm going to wind this one in, get another bait on there. I haven't baited another trace up, and that's something I usually would do, but to be quite honest, I'm just looking for a bit of a chilled out session. It's only a short one. And I'll just add a little bit of bluey, perhaps a bit more squid to the dongle rig. It'll take a couple of minutes, cast it back out. Right, let's have a look, see what's going on. Yeah, so I mean, the tip is really bent over, but the actual butt section, it's got a little bit of grunt to it. You know, remember, this is $29.99. I can't get over the price. If you're starting fishing and you're just looking for something to get you going, absolutely fine. There we go. Now it's moving a bit. There comes the leader knot. Now I reckon the bait's going to be pretty decent still. Yeah, there you go. So you can see that squid and bluey bait. It's a little bit ragged, but there's still plenty of fish attracting qualities about it anyway. A little bit of weed, surface weed from there we go, just from where it was flooding through earlier on. Right, here we go then, cast number 2, and I've gone for just a simple bluey bait, a little section of bluey including the head, loads of blood and juice and oil in there. See if we can lure something in. You don't need massive baits for rays or eels. Let's go and ping it out, see how this rod performs on its second cast. I'll tell you what, there's mullet absolutely everywhere here, splashing around in the edge. You won't see it on camera, but take my word for it. Right, so cast number 2 with this little rod. And I'm just overhead thumping it. Not bad at all, not bad at all. You don't need massive distance here, but this rod, you know, is more than capable of putting it out there. The only thing I would say is perhaps in the future I'd change the line for something a bit thinner, perhaps put a little bit more on there, but for the time being today, absolutely perfect. It'll do the job anyway. Right. Well, this bait's been in the water now for, was it getting on for 35 minutes? Still no signs of life, but I mean, take a look at that sea. It is absolutely glassy calm. It's full of fish. There's loads of small mullets scattering around, but I'm never going to catch one of those on the gear I'm using today. Right, time to move back up with the tide, I reckon. Well, that bit of early mist is burnt off now and it's baking. That lovely bit of breeze that picked up from the west is gone. And it is sweltering. Really good idea to wear a black t-shirt today. Oh, I don't think that was a bite, more wishful thinking. Come on, I want to see a fish on this mackerel hunter. Well, it's a bit of a struggle today, but purely out of interest. Guy down the beach just came up for a chat and he told me he's not had a bite either. What he did say was, though, he's got a rod there which is £550 plus a reel which is about £400. So, you know, we're in good company. This $29.99 outfit is up against, you know, a grand's worth of fishing tackle. Neither at the moment is catching, so perhaps that tells you something in itself. So my one complaint with this outfit is I would have more line on there. I'd spool it up with something a bit thinner and put a bit more on there, but let's see how we go. That's not too bad at all, really. I mean, that casts really nicely. The rod compresses easy and you'd expect the recovery to be quite slow, but it's not. It's quite fast and it certainly pings out a 5-ounce lead and a reasonable lump of bait. Right, here we go, fingers crossed then. Come on, fishy, fishy. It's really rare not to catch something down here at this time of year. But I'm in good company. The guys fishing down the beach have still not caught a fish. I'm hoping that this last hour of the flooding tide is going to be the one. We'll see. Well, finally, after some waiting, I've got a bit of a bite going on here. Certainly having a good tug on the bait. You can see the bite detection is absolutely great on a rod of this kind of money, you know. Oh, I don't want to fluff it. First bite of the day. Want to make the most of it. Just give it a little bit longer just to see what happens.
Sadly, that was the only bite of the session, and for whatever reason that fish didn't hook up. But I ticked the boxes I wanted to in terms of finding out just how capable this $29.99 combo is. The Rovex Mackerel Hunter rod handles a 5-ounce lead and a medium-sized bait without issue and gets it away with ease. The rod has a nice through action which lends itself to an effortless overhead cast, and the rod tips certainly let me know when a fish was on the bait. The reel is tougher than I was expecting, retrieving line without any sign of the gears failing and winding line onto the spool in an impressively uniform fashion. The front drag locked the spool firmly in place for the cast, and the bail arm stayed locked in the open position, something that many cheaper reels are not good at. I've no doubt that the Rovex Mackerel Hunter combo is more than adequate for the majority of UK shore angling scenarios, and for the cost it really does represent exceptional value for money. Pick up yours today at veals.co.uk or check out the comments section for a direct link.